Good afternoon, students, and welcome back to the class of Macroeconomics SYBCom. In previous class, we have discussed about the cash balance approach of quantity theory of money, which is also known as a Cambridge equation of QTM or Cambridge version of QTM because it was prepared or propounded by the economists of Cambridge University. Now, in that we have seen that the Cambridge version of QTM was given by the Marshall and Pigou, another prominent economist who tried to give a new dimension to the QTM is J.M. Keynes, John Maynard Keynes. Now, Keynes has also given a equation for the quantity theory of money. Now, in today's lecture we'll see that how the Keynesian equation is trying to explain the QTM. The real balance equation, Keynesian equation is known as a real balance equation. In his tract on monetary reform published in 1923. In the year 1923, Keynes has published a book titled Tract on Monetary Reform. Lord Keynes has given an improved version of cash balance approach, which has reference only to consumption goods. According to him, people hold money to buy only consumer goods and services. His equation is known as the real balance quantity equation. Now, if you remember, the Fisher's equation is known as a transaction equation. The Cambridge version equation is known as a cash balance equation. Now, the Keynesian equation is known as a real balance quantity equation. Now, he has given the equation in the form of N is equal to Pk or P is equal to N upon K. Now, where N represents the quantity of money, if you remember, in all previous versions, we are expressing the quantity of money with M, but Keynes has represented the quantity of money with N. So, N represents the quantity of money in circulation, that is, currency notes or other forms of cash in circulation, currency notes and coins. P is the price of a consumption unit, that means price level. K is representing the number or the proportion of consumption unit which people desire to hold in cash, or we can say it is a fraction or ratio of the that consumption units which people desire to hold in the form of a cash. Further, now Keynes said that it is not only that people are considering the cash of that with they are holding, but they are also keeping cash in the form of bank deposits. So he has introduced another version in that is R or K dash. In order to take into consideration the bank deposit, Keynes extended the above equation as N is equal to P multiplied by K plus R into K dash. So we have seen the original equation is N is equal to Pk. In this, we have introduced the K dash, that is your bank money, or it can be rewritten as a P is equal to N divided by K plus R into K dash, where K dash represents the number of consumption unit which the community holds in the form of bank deposits. R represent the proportion of cash reserve kept by the banks against their deposit. Like we are keeping our reserve, K is a fraction of reserve that people are going to keep with them. R is the fraction of reserve which banks are going to keep with them, because banks are not able to use the entire money which they are having. Out of that, they have to keep certain proportion as a cash to meet the needs of a consumer and their day-to-day requirement. That is why R represents the proportion of cash reserve kept by the banks. Thus, if K and K dash are remaining unchanged, if K dash and R remains unchanged, N and P are going to move in a same direction or in a positive manner. See, N and P rise and fall together in the same proportion. If N is doubled, then P will also be doubled, and if N is half, then P will also be half. So there is a direct relation between N and P, keeping K, R and K dash as a constant. So this is the Keynesian equation. Now we have to compare, or we have to see that how cash balance approach is superior as compared to transaction approach. The transaction approach was given by the Irving Fisher. Cash balance approach was given by the Marshall, AC, Pigou and Keynes. Now we have to make comparison. We have studied both the QTM versions. Now we have to see or analyze that how cash balance approach is superior as compared to cash transaction approach. First point is the cash transaction approach takes into consideration mainly the supply aspect of money as an important determinant for value of money. Therefore, it is considered as one-sided approach. So that the cash transaction approach is a one-sided approach. It is considering only supply aspect, not the demand aspect. The cash balance approach, on the other hand, adequately emphasizes on both supply and demand aspect of money. Because in cash balance approach, we have seen that what are the purpose for which money will be demanded. So it is considering the factors or the demand side also, whereas cash transaction approach is concerned only about the supply aspect. So in that manner, cash balance approach is superior as compared to cash transaction approach. Second superiority is the transaction theory lays emphasis mainly on the medium of exchange function of money by ignoring other important function, that is store of value. If you remember, while discussing our functions of money, we have seen in primary function there are two functions that money perform. One, money is acting as a medium of exchange. Second, money act as a store of value. So cash transaction approach is based only on the one function of money, that is medium of exchange. But cash balance approach considers the second function of money also, that is your that store of value. That is why this cash balance approach is treated as a superior to cash transaction approach. Money not only acts as a medium of exchange but also performs a useful function of store of value. People desire to hold a certain amount of purchasing power in cash, which is represented in the form of K, which is cash balance. That means the amount which is left out with the people, or people keep aside that after meeting their cash transaction. So people are not only that using money as a medium of exchange, but they also use it for the purpose of storing the value. That is why K indicates the fraction of money that people would like to hold as a cash balance. Third superiority is, as pointed out by the Kurihara. Kurihara was the name of an economist. Now, as pointed out by the Kurihara, the cash balance equation is more useful than the transaction equation as explanation of the value of money, because it is easier to know how much cash balance people desire to hold as against the total expenditure. It is difficult to know how much they spend for all kinds of transactions. See, people are not able to tell that how much money they are spending for all transactions, but it is easy to know from the people that how much money they want to save as a balance. So that means it is easy to identify, or it is easy to trace. That is the superiority of cash balance approach. Fourth one is, according to Marshall, the chief merit or the main merit or advantage of cash balance approach is that it removes the crude and mechanical concept of velocity of circulation of money. That means velocity of circulation of money is not a net concept, it is a crude concept, or rough concept, which is removed in this. So your cash transaction approach was mainly based on the velocity of circulation of money, which is not considered in cash balance approach because it is that a crude or mechanical concept. The concept of K introduced in the cash balance equation is more useful in the analysis of cyclical fluctuation than the Fisher's concept of B. B is not going to tell you anything about what is happening in the business environment, business cycle, that is trade cycle. But K will tell you the cyclical fluctuation, like if there is a that depression in economy or economy is facing the recession, then prices are going to fall and the value of money is going to rise. Similarly, if inflation is there in an economy, the prices will increase and the value of money is going to fall. That cannot be known in case of cash transaction approach. Fifth superiority is the cash balance approach has helped in the development of modern liquidity preference theory, which is of great importance in the explanation of income and employment. Your income and employment is affected due to liquidity preference theory. So that is why this cash balance approach is helping in knowing the other components of that economic development. Whereas through cash transaction approach, we will not be able to know about the other variables that are affecting the income level or employment in the economy. Sixth superiority is according to ACL Day. The Cambridge approach brings in very important new elements. That means it has brought into consideration the new elements. It concentrates not only the total volume of transaction but also on the level of income. See, in cash balance approach, we have used the concept of income, whereas in case of cash transaction, we have completely ignored the income part or income concept. This makes this approach more useful from the analytical and practical point of view. So, for the further analysis and having a practical usefulness, cash balance approach is having a superiority. Seventh one is the cash balance equation is more realistic when it says the price level may change even without changing the quantity of money. Even if the quantity of money is not changing, the price level may change. Now, how it is going to change? It will be changed if K undergoes a change. K means fraction of money that people would like to hold as a cash. In fact, K is a very important determinant of price level than M in the Fisher's equation. So K is more important as compared to M in determining the value of money. Now, cash balance approach, despite of having a superiority, it is also having a various limitations. Now, Pigu's cash balance equation considers the purchasing power of money in terms of consumption goods only. That means only consumption goods are considered, not the producer goods or other type of goods are ignored. For example, he says or he speaks of real income expressed in terms of wheat only. We have seen the equation of a Pigu, that is P is equal to KR divided by M. In that, R indicates your real income, which is expressed in terms of wheat. However, the value of money cannot be artificially restricted to include only consumption goods, since money is kept for the vast multiplicity of business and personal purpose. That means money is not only kept for the purchasing the consumption goods, it is also used for other purposes which are ignored. Second, the cash balance theory does not analyze all determinants of demand for money. In particular, the theory ignores speculative demand for holding money. In modern times, a sizable part of the demand for money arises on account of speculative motive. That means people would like to hold a cash because they want to take advantage of a particular situation, or they want to undergo the speculative activities where they are getting the opportunity to earn out of a particular condition. In fact, changes in the speculative demand for money cause violent and sudden change in the liquidity preference of people. Third one is, it is of course true that change in the demand for money brings about change in the value of money. But the theory does not provide any adequate explanation as to why the demand for money changes. It is showing the relationship, but it is not showing the reason. It is telling you that demand for money brings a change in the value of money. But what makes the value of money change? How it is changing? So it is not able to give the explanation of that cause. The main factors that cause change in the demand for money are changes in income, consumption, savings, etc. The cash balance theory does not say anything about these factors. That means it is ignoring the factors causing change in demand for money. But it is just saying that when demand for money is changing, value of money will change. But what causes change in the demand for money, it is not explained. That is the criticism. Fourth one is, the cash balance theory gives too much emphasis on the real income as the determinant of K, that is fraction. However, apart from real income, there are other factors which influence K, like the price level, the monetary and business habits of the people, and political conditions prevailing in the country. So there are not only economic factors, there are psychological and political factors also which are affecting the value of K, which is not included in the cash balance theory. Fifth one is, similarly, the theory point out that change in quantity of money in short run will bring about change in output and price. But it does not tell us how much will be the change as a result of given change in money supply. It is just showing the relation, but not the magnitude of relation. That means how much will be, how strong is the relationship. They are just showing that the quantity of money will bring a change in the money supply, but how much, that is not indicated by this theory. Sixth criticism is, the cash balance theory, like the transaction theory, assumes K and T as a given, but in a dynamic setup, neither K nor T will be remaining constant. It will keep on changing because the number of factors are keep on adding every time, because it is, we are not living in a static kind of economy, we are living in a dynamic situation. So neither K nor T will remain constant. The Cambridge equation is therefore open for the same criticism as the Fisher's equation, because Fisher have also assumed all the components as a constant. Only he has assumed that P and M are going to be variable, all other are assumed to be constant. So in this also K and T are assumed to be constant. So the criticism of cash balance approach is same or arising on the same basis on which the Fisher's equation has criticized. Seventh criticism is, the cash balance theory, while explaining the changes in price level, overlooks or ignores important factors such as income, saving, investment, which according to modern writers have an important effect on the price level in economy. That means income, saving and investment are going to affect the price level of economy, but these factors are ignored in the cash balance approach of QTM. Eighth criticism is, the theory does not provide any adequate explanation on the occurrence of cyclical fluctuation in the economy. We know that in an economy there are cyclical fluctuation or that ups and downs which is taking place, but this theory is not taking into that into consideration. For example, at the time of depression, there will be rise in the value of money as the prices are falling, while at the time of inflation the prices are increasing, so the value of money will be reduced. So the cash balance theory does not fully explain the various phases of business cycle. Another criticism is the cash balance theory involves a sort of circular reasoning. Circular reasoning means the cause and effect of a particular thing is same. According to the theory, the price level or the value of money is determined by the cash holding, that is K, of the community. And at the same time, it also states that price level or the value of money determines the amount of cash which people would like to hold in the form of K. That means K is determined by P and P is determined by K. So there is a legacy. Thus, there is a circular reasoning involved, and so the theory suffers from a fallacy or the loophole of Petito principle. Petito principle means that undeniably a common fallacy, something that we cannot deny. It is like that ignoring the important part and concentrating on another part. For example, my position is not false, therefore it is true. So why it is true, rather than explaining that, it is based on the thing that my position is not false, therefore it is true. One characteristic of Petitio principle policy is that it is more likely to fool the person making the argument than the person on he or she is trying to influence. Rather than influencing, you are trying to fool the people. So this equation is misleading or misguiding the people. Now, in spite of these limitations, the importance of cash balance theory cannot be ignored. The cash balance theory is helping in relating the value of money to the change in its demand. It explains how the changes in people's desire to cash balance will affect the price level. This explanation has made a valuable contribution in understanding the problem of value of money. So we cannot ignore the contribution made by the cash balance theory despite of its that criticisms. So students, thank you for today's class. So in next class, we will be making the comparison between the two theories, and we'll see that which theories is better than another. So this is the criticism that we have seen. Then we'll see the comparison of two theories. Now in today's class, we have seen the superiority of cash balance theory, criticisms of cash balance theory. In next class, we will be discussing about the comparison of these two theories. In comparison, we will see the similarity and differences between these two theories. Thank you very much.